I'm excited now to introduce my next guest here that has become a really good friend of mine. And I'll just give you the backstory, and I'll let Lorianette kind of speak about her bio and her background. But what happened 6 months ago was the next guest added me on Instagram, and then I added her back, and then we started communicating back and forth for months, like maybe a couple of hours of conversation, like just through text a day for quite a few, like for the first couple of months, and really started tuning into her energy, what she was about, and to summarize it all, it's definitely way more beyond this, but our next guest, Lorianette, is an Orion starseed, but beyond an Orion starseed, an Orion being incarnated onto Earth with remembrance of not only lives there, but the system, the history of this area, and a true dedication and passion to the upliftment of consciousness and bringing down the Orion energy, and also correcting the record in some cases on the things that happened in Orion and then what occurred afterwards that goes beyond what we may have understood or accepted conventionally, even though this is all very non-conventional, right? When it comes to the Orion Wars and just the history of that belt in general and its connection to Earth. So as we've progressed in our friendship, this is the first introduction of her to Portal Ascension family. So I'm extremely excited for you guys to connect with her, because this is truly just the beginning. The conversation that we're about to have, the presentations he's going to do, is only the beginning, because I've already have a map in my head of a series of in-depth interviews with her that's going to go really deep into Orion and the beings from that area. So everybody, help me in welcoming Lorianette. You there?
Hey, thank you, Neil, so much for your introduction. Sorry for my English, because I'm Italian, so you have to have a little patience with me today if I say something strange or sounds strange. And thank you, Neil. Really, the connection I have with Neil, it's been something really unexpected, and I think we help each other throughout our healing process this year.
No,
So
definitely.
it's so weird to speak with other people.
So
Yeah,
why don't
it's
we
my
start like
first.
this? Do you have a presentation you want to do, or do you want to go back and forth?
Yeah.
Like, take it away, whichever way you want.
I think because my English is not good enough, I don't have to speak about myself too much today, because I prefer to give the most important information about Orion. So I just give a little bit of introduction of my story. Here in Italy, as you said, I've come to this world with full memory of my past life, and that's for all my teenage years. I have these clear memories, but it was all keep it for myself until the age of 18, where for the first time my star family contact me. I remember I was walking my dogs out, and it was summer, so it was time for dinner. I go out with my dogs, and it was like sunset. This pinky sky I saw for the first time in my life, because before that I have no clue about UFO aliens. I feel my soul were from another place, but I don't have remembrance of UFO or stuff like that. But I think it was some kind of protection I have. Like if I open that door of memories, all the downloads will came out. So for a certain times, I think even my star family helped me to not realize so much what I was remembering. So at the age of 18, I saw this for the first time, something incredible that seems like flock of birds was in the daylight. So it was the sky above my home, and those I think hundred or I don't know thousands, really like a flock of birds, but was those objects shaped like a boomerang object above my house, and I was feeling this huge emotion I was shocked, and I don't know what I was just sewing. I don't know. And I come back home. I have to tell to my mom. I grew up with a single mom, and I come back and I found her, and her was because she passed last year, last summer, and she was a channeler, a medium. But at the time, I didn't. She didn't share this part of her life with me. So I was shocked because I've just saw that things in the sky, and I come back home with my dogs and I saw my mom. The dinner was burning, and I remember that my mom was channeling this message, and I never saw her channeling something. So the message, long story short, the message was, uh, "Welcome back, Larianit. We are here to welcome you back to your we are your star family, and it's time for you to remember. So we want to help you because we know you have so many memories, and we want to help you to understand where you came from, your story." And basically, I don't remember every word, but I have that paper. I still have it. It's like the most precious thing for me. And they basically welcome back with a lot of love and a familiar sense of unity. So that was the first contact, conscious, like interaction we have, and the first and crazy things happened since that day. I was about to have 18 years old, and right now I have 27. So because of that period of awakenings, I have an energy that I cannot control properly. Sometimes I was burning computer and stuff. I need their help. So the beings I'm talking about are beings from the Orion belt. So the three stars of Orion, the main, I think, the most famous stars of the Orion constellation, because of Egypt. And yeah, the the things I have to share with you today is not my story, because it's like many story of many star seeds, but is to introduce the energy of these beings, the Orion Neteru, or reintroduce, because it's something we have inside our DNA. We just have forget about them, because they are beings that are very not interferent. They are different to any star beings you may have come in contact with, because they are very, even in their contact, they're very slow when revealing information. So I spent 10 years to have all this downloading information by them, and they prefer to let us grow up and strengthen, our souls muscles to listen ourselves. And so they prefer to left people free to wake up by themselves, by guiding them, but from a distance. So why they here? They are now here because they are those kind of beings that interact at the end, at the beginning of a cycle, and at the end of a cycle. So in the other times, they prefer to let the confederation, they are part of the confederation in the Orion Council. I don't know if this is the right term, because it's my first conference in another language, so please forgive me if I say something weird. And the identity of Neteru is the most important things I want to share with you. So Neteru is a term that I will use today to help you understand who they were, and because it's more fast for me to say Neteru than repeat again Orion beings from Orion's belt beings. So I will say Neteru beings, to referring to the beings from the three stars you are seeing right now. And especially my people came from the central star, that is the Alnilam, the stars, the middle stars in the belt. And yeah, the most important things to say about them is that maybe you have, if you Neil, if you can show something about the pyramids and the Orion align, the pyramids that are aligned with the belt. Yeah, and yeah, that's just to give you a visual impact, so I can skip the long historical boring part about the the Orion belt presence in history. So many people on planet Earth are have contact with those beings from the belt. So the the Hopi, the Egyptian, Maya in China, you have some trace of their presence in every ancient civilization. So it was important to me today to help you understand, to clarify some points, because they are different beings from the rebel, the Orion War stuff. It's being basically some of here in Italy. When I speak about my people, when I speak about Orion, everybody has stigma and prejudice about what's happened there. But the Orion beings from the belt are different things. They are the guardians of Orion. So in the Orion Council, they protect the Orion and the other innocent planets to the interference beings of any kinds of lower interferent beings that are unbalanced, that lost balance. So they've been called by ancient civilization the guardians of balance. So Neteru in Egyptian means guardian or watchers, and they have influenced North Africa, South Africa, a lot of part of India. They've been called in the Vedic historic teachings, they were called the Gandharvas. So those who fight the darker forces, the dark entity, the lower entity, or interferent beings. And so they were just called when something was important to solve. Otherwise, they wouldn't never interfere, because they are very natural beings. They very root like beings. They love nature. They are connected with the source. They want to interfere as less as possible. So sorry, it's difficult to explain in another language. So I'm trying to express what I want to say.
You're explaining it perfectly.
Thank
We're
you.
with you. We're here. Yeah. Everybody in the chat room is
Yeah,
saying that they understand you perfectly. So please continue.
thank you. And so the main thing you have to keep in mind when you think about those beings is that they're very they're like in the chakra of heart. So they're not in a mental level as many other Orion beings. They are in a soul to soul level. They are this spiritual. They're like very folkloristic. Like even in Orion, the Orion belt beings are so different that are seen as, I don't know, unicorns because they do not want to interfere. They live in their planet, but the main beings of Orion belt you can meet is the Anilam people, so the people I came from, because of the story of the Orion War. So they were the first who fight those darkness and win those darkness. So they are one of them that can give advice to other planetary system or star system that are in needs or fight some kind of entities, but I will talk about that later. if I have time. I don't know. And in order to understand their nature, you have to keep in mind that Kachina called them like beautiful beings. They say that they are not gods. They say the Kachina from the Orion belt were those who built the mesa, the tree mesa, the three mountains aligned with the Orion belt and the Hopi culture. You know, the teachings of the Hopi are highly spiritual, so you can have an idea. I want just to say that just to give you an idea of the energy we are. So they were bringing fruit to the Hopi. So you can have an idea of how friendly these beings are. So they just be friends with the Hopi people and bring fruits, and then sharing with them some teachings. And for the rest, they're not interfering with anyone. So the other part of the Neteru, the other side, the other energy they bring is to guarding portals and astral planes. So in the ancient Egypt, often we see the description of the gods came from Orion. If these gods, Egyptians said that they were gods, of course, because they say they saw them with this aspect. If Neil, if you want to show some Neteru light very quickly, just to give an idea of their faces, their head, their features. And I think
Give me one moment. I'm gonna pull it up.
Yeah, it's not important if you can, or if you're not, it's fine. And those beings are in order to speak about them, I must speak about the Orion Nebula. So I'm just confused about how to keep all this information in in few minutes, but I will try. So those beings were called like immunitary system of the nebula. They have been created by the source as a natural defense of this nursery of stars. So they are really linked to their star place, and those beings are very, very I don't know the term, sorry. Well, they've been created to protect the nebula. The Orion Nebula is being called for the scientist M42. The Orion, yes, these are their faces. The Orion Nebula is like a biochemical industry. So the scientists call a biochemical industry right now. It's creating future if I don't get wrong, 11,000 future solar system like ours that will be able to create life. So this nebula, according to science, has all the elements, physical elements that it needs to create life, like water, sorry my pronunciation, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, methanol, dimethyl ether, hydrocyanic acid, etc., etc., and a lot of other elements. But the most important thing is that for years and years, scientists has looked in the universe to find a particular light that is responsible for the creation of life in this universe. So they found this kind of light that is called the circular polarized light. That is the scientists study the universe using frequencies and radiation. So by this like fingerprints of this radiation, they look around all this universe and they do not find this kind of light that is responsible of the creation of life on this planet and other star systems. So they find this amount of circular polarized light only in one place, and this place is called M42 Nebula of Orion Nebula. The Orion beings call Ra. Ra for them is sacred. Is not the sun god Ra, is the creator of sun. So in some aspect, in scientific aspect, it makes sense that they call him, Orion people call him Huru or Ur, that is transliterated in Egyptian as Ra, and they have a huge respect for this sacred source of life. In its physical aspect, is a nursery of future stars and suns. And according to scientists, and this discovery is very recent. Has been very recently, because I remember that when I was preparing the conference, using all this information that my star family gave to me, I didn't know about this discovering. And 2 years ago in Italy, my first conference, and I thank God that someone make this new research came out, where the scientist officially says and discover, and for science, you know that for scientists it's very difficult that something came out, and they discovered that these light, circular polarized light, is the responsible of the creation of this, our star system, our solar system, sorry, and others, and the all star system existing. So what does it mean? Ra is not God, it's just a emanation, is like a mirror of the source. So if I make a quick example, so they made this example to me, so I want to share it with you. If our universe would be a body, Ra would be a womb. So if our universe would be a body with many organs, the nebula M42 would be the place where the life is being created, the organs of the divine feminine energy, the womb where suns have been created. So that's why they call it, that's why they've called it Ra, the sun's god, because it was the creator of the suns. So these doesn't mean that there aren't other nebula important as well that have different function. It's just to give you an idea that that's why they call them Neteru, guardians, because they have to watch these sacred space that create life. So basically, what's in the nebula is an emanation of love. So it's like a mother, father, I don't know, for them it's love. They describe as love. And by speaking about the nebula, you can understand what's happened in the Orion War. The nebula, can you imagine the power of creating suns? Right now, the nebula are creating 1100 future solar system. So can you imagine for certain beings how can be seductive to have this power of manipulating life? So that's why the Netero have been called warrior or guardians of portals, because they have this responsibility to be like a immunitary system that defends these beings that is a sacred beings. As our planet is a sentient beings, Ra is an emanation of gods and is beautiful beings of love. And that's just, they want just to give you this information that maybe you knew sometime and you just forget, because all the things, the manipulation, the disinformation about the Illuminati and what they do about the Eye of Ra, it's very deceiving, and that's not the truth. That's not logic and not science. What the scientific aspect of Ra. And but most important of all is that if that was the womb, like an organ of this universe where a lot of life came out, Ra should be like a divine feminine energy. So that give you a different perspective of a lot of this information that speak about Orion, that it has 14 stars, and as a like a mental level beings, etc., etc. They are not. There are few stars that are in evolution, but what's happening in the Orion War is that, and one day maybe with Neil we agreed to dedicate more time to that, but today I have not enough time. I have other things they want me to say to you. So the Orion War happenings because some entities from outside this universe came to violate the nebula and study and have the power to manipulate those stars, those capacity, those ability to create future suns. So in the Orion Nebula, they find all the kind of light spectrum. So from ultraviolet to infrared, all the kind of light. And you know, this radiation, it means sounds, and it means frequency. So that it's just a natural place, like you know, worlds and trees. And so there's no need to hate so much a place that is love, that is natural. So there is a womb of divine feminine energy that creates such beautiful stars and life. So can you just for a moment, the physical geographical area of this universe where the star system, you know, have been created, are created in that nursery. So the source is the I don't know how you call it, God or whatever we feel more comfortable to call it. I use the term source to help even those who have a scientific mind, but of course God has this emanation that are the nebulas, and every nebula has a different purpose and different energy to bring to the world. So the energy of the Orion Nebula is the creation of life, so it's a womb, a divine feminine mother. So that's why the first war in Orion occurred, because some beings from outside this universe were like not conscious beings, unbalanced beings, came and possessed some of the Orion rebel that then they've been called rebel in the Betelgeuse and the gray beings. I have to say that honestly, I can understand why people have this I don't know, have this confusion, because I have to bad experience with gray beings, and I came from Orion. But when I see a gray, even if now I'm in the process of healing, and I know that it's not due to the breed, but it's something to the star beings, but it's something to certain groups of rebel. You cannot generalize. I can understand that on Earth there are those groups that have been called Nephilim. That Nephila in ancient times were the terms referring to the Orion constellation, the 14 stars. And Nephilim were those who came from Orion, were the group that even the evil group of interference beings were not the beings from the belt. So we have to make a difference when we say, oh, the Nephilim created the pyramids. No, the Neteru created the first pyramids. And even here, there is some point to clarify, just because we don't have to divide by different options. We have just to integrate in order to understand that it all came to starting to fall to the right place if we understand a few things. For example, Manetone was a priest in the ancient Egypt that divided the ancient Egypt period in 3 times. The first time, the Zep Tepi, was the time of the Neteru that lasts 1400 years before Christ. the second time, the Shemshuhar time, is the time where you can hear about other star beings interact in the Egypt. But the time of the Zeptepi was the time of the Neteru beings from Al-Nilam, then cooperate with the Confederation. So when they left, they leave they friends, their colleagues, their other star beings to operate in certain area, but any beings have certain geographical area to watch after. And the Neteru just interact with this Egypt at those time because here on Earth there are some bunch of rebels from the Orion War. So they were here to protect other innocent beings from those kind of entities. So the Neteru beings are here to help for the protection. And the third time, the Manhattan saw that in the list of Manetone was the time of a human pharaoh. So when we heard other beings channeling or other channeler that speak about Orion, and I heard many, many times in Italy and even around the world, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are not true, but those beings came in the scene of Egypt after the leaving of the Neteru, because Neteru came to protect in a delicate moment and to leave some access to some portals that connect directly to the nebula. And by connecting to the nebula, we can connect to other star systems. So it's a central point. And I don't have time, but I wasn't finished. Neil, I can go
Yeah,
on
when
or I
you
have to stop?
yeah, take a few more minutes.
Okay.
Like 4 or 5 minutes.
Like very few minutes. We have another important things to say about the Orion zone is that in the Orion zone, an author mathematics called Vasil Drozd discovered these huge pyramids built among the distance of the stars of Orion. And in this sacred geometry impressed in the, you know that geometry is a sound, is a frequency made visible. So what the message of those pyramids, if you check Vasil Drozd and stars pyramids in Orion, you can find everything. But I will speak better in another moment. It's delicate, but basically what's imprinted in that area of Orion, it's message from the source, divine source, that says with symbols of a circle like an eye, and under these eyes there is a pyramid, and this is a sacred geometry that on Earth it became something evil because Illuminati evil group or dark agenda wants to manipulate the symbol, but this symbol only resonates with balance, so they can use it as many times they want, but that never worked for them. So that symbol means just sacred geometry, and it means all these ones vibrate together, and in order to have balance, to have balance, the only laws in universe, in order to go in any dimension we want, the free pass we have is balance. Without balance, the door will be closed. So that's what what the source leave in that particular area. And the teachings of Neteru are just speaking about balance. So if you have balance, you can go whatever you want in the dimension, but for that, in a lot of channelings, they keep saying raise your frequency, because when you raise your frequency, you see that we are all connected. And the first law there is imprint in that geometry, it says that the law of correspondency, the law of unity, if all is one, you have to be responsible for your action, because your action your electromagnetic fields can affect others and can change other electromagnetic fields. So those are the kind of laws that Netero were there to help some interferent beings to respect, because they do not have to do nothing. Even the benevolent beings don't have to do so much, because the universe has this intelligent system of order that regulates itself. If you go in a dimension or you try to pass some dimension, but your frequency is not in balance, the door would be closed. So for that, they manipulate the DNA, because DNA, the rebels, those who try to escape those rules of balance, they try, but they never will be able to do it. They try to manipulate DNA because they think that by manipulating DNA, they will be able to open those keys to those portals. And DNA is like, we have all the key that all the benevolent beings leave to us. Like every benevolent beings leave in our DNA a frequency and a key to open certain dimensions and certain portals. So this is the part of Orion that they want you to integrate the Orion belt, divine feminine energy of the nebula, and forgetting about the rest. And you heard about Orion, because this is the part of the beings that are part of the Orion Council, the Confederation. So all the evil beings you heard about are no more part of this universe or this timeline. They push out from Orion. So Orion is one of the most safe place right now, because nothing can enter and nothing can ask without the guardians watching all over, by protecting by this sacred system of frequencies. So it's not clear. I didn't explain it well, but I do my best because it's not my language. Sorry.
You explained very well. I keep telling you that you're doing a great job.
No.
And Joan, do you want to comment? I know you're feeling it.
No, there's so much to break down. I actually need to hear it again. But I will say this. So you actually said the negative entities have all been pushed out of the nebula. And the nebula is where we can go and connect, right, with all the other parts of the galaxy. And evil ones are no longer there, right?
No. Maybe are here on Earth, but not there. There are a system, there are only stars that is being called like a prison stars. That's something I've heard sometimes, and I'm not sure yet, but there's like these stars or planet system in Orion that has like lower density beings who are incarnated, but it's like in another dimension from the nebula or the belt. It's like way different dimensions. Like their frequency is not accessible one to another. So they're two different places. So it's in the physical form, you can find part of Orion, but it's like it's tuned in another frequency. I don't know if
I loved your visual images, your depiction of the beings of the Orion beings. They're just beautiful. Reminded me of the Avatar.
We will go deeper, into all of this, and I feel kind of somewhat accomplished, right? Because we've been talking for 6 months, working up to this moment, and now you're on here discussing it. Before you I think you're going to stick around, but make sure you read the comments in the chat, because everybody was engaging and commenting on everything you were sharing. So I want you to really take it in and receive everything that everyone shared with you. And are you going to put your images on the internet? Have you put them on a website yet? No, right?
No, because it wasn't. They asked me to wait to the right time to show it.
Yeah.
No, why? But I think lots of face and figure I showed to you, and were just very important to integrate their energy. And I don't know where I can put it. I don't know where to post it, because I don't have a site right now.
We're gonna hang out in Europe So guys, we're going to be hanging out in a few weeks in Europe, and then you're moving over to, you know, the central Mexico, and we'll be hanging out. So I'll help you put it all together. Yeah?
I've
Yeah.
read a comment. Just I have to make precise that not all grays are evil. Of course, I've said something. Maybe I'm not clear because I'm not speaking well. But there are beautiful beings in the Orion Council that are good beings, like from Zeteretically and Betelgeuse and others. But some beings of the rebels I've met were from that place. But of course, they're not evil. The beings are now part of the, even though they are different frequencies. Every star beings in this Orion constellation, and there are many stars with life there, have different level of consciousness. So that was just too precise.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. And we'll be going deeper, and you're going to be on a lot more events. We'll be doing some interviews, so you'll see.
Thank you.
much more to learn it.
I'm so happy to have met Joanne. Sorry if I didn't speak. I'm so emotional right now. Sorry. I'm almost in channeling.
I can feel it. I can feel it. You're beautiful the way you
Thank
are.
you.
I'm going to look forward to more deep dives, love. Can't wait.
Thank you.
Rebecca, talk soon.
Thank
Thank you.
Ah.
Thank